What's the other side?
Wilton.
Wilton, okay.
Yes, exactly. So we're not as far as Western that goes to Koreatown. So I don't see a slide, so we're going to just get hopping. I would say to just go through, but if you guys have a pertinent question, feel free to interrupt me. I am happy to talk and answer questions, but I want to make sure you guys get this material. So again, what we're going to talk about today, of course, is seller leads. Woo! Got to get them, guys, because that's where the money is. So what we're going to specifically talk about within that is, again, motivation. What's the motivation of these sellers? You know, are they really serious about selling right now? We're going to qualify them. That's part of the qualifying process. And we're going to convert them to actual leads, from leads to contacts, and from contacts to contracts. Yes. We're also going to talk a little bit about pre-qualifying them. So again, getting back to, are they ready to sell? What are their expectations? All of that. And listing presentations. And if we have time, we'll go into Command a little bit because there are some great templates there. There is no reason to reinvent the wheel, you guys. I mean, we're too busy to do that. And then talk about any ahas you guys have, any questions you have, and daily success habits. Okay, so does anybody have any questions they want to ask me before we start the material today?
It's not, if let's say you have one farm of like how many houses do you have in one of your farms? 1,000 or 500?
In our geographic farms, we have one that's 500, one that's 250, and one that's 300.
Yeah. And if I have like a monthly mailing of postcards, how much do you think that would cost me?
It costs us about $1,500.
Okay.
Through MLMS. Patty, you know about that?
Yes, I just, as far as farms are concerned, I don't know a lot about them. Is it, where do we find the farms and how do you find the farms?
Well, we chose to do some geographic farms. For us, it's easier because like that area that I was talking about, the historic corridor, is split up into various different neighborhoods. Obviously, we took the neighborhood I live in, we took the neighborhood that Tracy lives in, and we took one in between us. And our intention is kind of to really expand, but it's expensive, as Clint just pointed out. A cheaper way for us to go is we'll do flyers that will deliver for us. So that's the cost of the printing. And then the guy who delivers it only charges about $200, $250. So it's a much more economical way to go, but a flyer requires, you know, more material, and it's not the presentation we want to make if we have a new listing. So if we have a new listing, it requires a postcard. That's what our clients in our geographic farms, and we've serviced a lot of clients in our geographic farms, that's what their expectation is. So then when we talk about something being in an escrow or some particular characteristics about a property or something going on in the neighborhood, that's flyer material. But unfortunately, we just got to eat that cost. So when it's time for that stuff to go out. Okay, so guys, if you have your books, yes. If you don't, it's okay. Like I said, we're going to talk about seller leads. And just a little bit of an overview. This is perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Merlin. What you want to do as a successful agent every day is you want to grow your business and you want to run your business. To grow your business, you want to generate leads for both buyers and sellers. You guys know this. This is basic. That's how you get your money. For your sellers, you want to make beautiful listing presentations and get their listings. You want to set yourself above the rest. That's where Command can be really useful. That's where knowing your unique value proposition is very useful. For example, in the case of Tracy and I, we talk about our experience with historic properties, the fact that we are on boards in historic properties, have worked with organizations such as the Conservancy and WAHA with regard to historic properties. So you want to definitely have a unique value proposition that sets you apart from everybody else. You want to make your buyer presentations. You want to preview real estate, particularly if you're working in a geographic farm, so you know what's going on in that farm. Those are all things to grow your business. To run your business, you want to obviously market your listings. You want to show your buyers properties. You've got to negotiate contracts. You want to make sure that you are RAHA or transaction management to closing. You want to work with your vendors. You want to, work with escrow and title and make sure that they're doing what they need to do, because ultimately it's our responsibility. If escrow blows something, a date, or title, it's very rare, something happens, your client is not going to be looking at them. They're going to be looking at you. So you need to have a handle on what's going on with your vendors. You want to set your goals, be it for the month or the year. You want to make sure, again, with Raha's help, that you're in compliance, that you make sure that your risk is being managed, and particularly with regard to that you're supposed to be doing, like your AVID, making sure that disclosures from the sellers are getting to your clients. You want to keep educating yourself. You want to attend trainings. You want to get coachings, and then you want to manage your money. So what we were talking about a little bit earlier with regard to flyers versus postcards, that's something where you really want to establish a budget so that you know what you're spending. You're not just being willy-nilly about it and going crazy, because I could spend up all your money. Your money, Patty, I'm in your wallet. All your money. Maury, I got yours too. So that's something that's really, you got to keep track of. Particularly during COVID, things that we used to do that were face-to-face can now be very expensive if you're trying to do it with paper. So you think about how you might want to do that online, virtually. So you want to really keep an eye on that budget. I can't say that enough, is really important. So the secret, and it's not a secret, to being a successful agent is exactly that. There's no secret. There are all kind of clues that agents prior to us leave behind. So you want to follow those successful clues and do exactly what we're talking about in terms of growing your business and running your business. The goal of our time here is to kind of model what successful agents do every day and to show you how they do it. And so we're going to try that to the best of our ability. Marilyn, thank you. So today our focus is within growing your business, lead generating for buyers and sellers. And specifically, we are looking at sellers. So what we want to do is kind of talk about the skills we'll need to have us going from a contact in our sphere of influence to an appointment. An appointment is key. You want to not just kind of talk to these people about how's your day, how's your family, very important in terms of building a relationship. But what we're trying to get to is, when can we meet? That's the goal. All right. So the first thing that we want to do in kind of qualifying our leads, our seller leads, is to understand their motivation. So we want to understand their motivation. We want to qualify and convert them. We want to pre-qualify these sellers, and we want to present them with beautiful listing presentations. So that's kind of what we're going to go over today. We need to find those seller leads, but we're going to talk a little bit about where you can find those. Now, one place you don't want to find these people is on the do not call list. So very important to remind you guys that before we kind of talk about where we can find leads, you've got to remember that there is such a thing as the do not comply registry, and you need to comply with that do not call list. The office should be registered and subscribed with the registry so that you can get access to it. That way you check that list before you call anybody. Make sure that they are not on that list. Update and delete any numbers that are in your database that are on that do not call list, unless you've got a personal relationship with these people, and you want to do that periodically, every 31 days or so. And also, I think we got an example in the office. We got an email from Joey about someone who did not want to be contacted, may not be on the registry, but does not want to be contacted by us. You want to keep note of people like that, even if it's somebody that you know, that they don't, unless you've got express permission from them, that they don't want to be contacted. You may be calling people that are in your database who indicate, hey, don't call me again about that real estate. So you want to make sure you make a note of that in your database and honor those requests. Do you guys have any questions about that at this point? Great. Okay, so make sure you're calling people in your database who actually have given you permission to contact them. So, ways to find seller leads. This is supposed to be a beautiful animated slide. Oh, you can call your database. Yes. Oh, do the daily 10-4. Now, what the daily 10-4 is, okay, and I'm going to read this because I'm not the queen of memorization, is that you want to call 10 people in your database every day. You want to call, you want to write 10 handwritten notes to people who are in your database every day. You want to preview 10 houses per week. So that's about 2 houses on a weekly basis. Now today with COVID, you obviously were not going into any agent previews unless you scheduled those appointments specifically. But keep up to date because people are being really great about their videos, their Matterport 3D rendering, so that you know when a client, particularly if it's in your geographic farm that you're supposed to know a lot about, you want to have familiarity with the properties in your farm. So open houses, again, not so much. People are trying to get around that and doing 15-minute appointments on Sundays from 2 to 5. Time frame sound familiar? Yes, it does. You had a question, Clint? Yes.
Yeah, you said daily make 10 calls. There's the 10-/4. I mean, 10 calls and at least 4 handwritten notes then?
Well, they're saying what, and I looked at this up in
Yeah.
Night. They're saying 10 people you're supposed to call from your database.
Mhm.
You're supposed to write 10 handwritten notes. I think the 4 is 4 things you're supposed to do. And then preview 10 houses
Mhm.
weekly.
Oh, 10 people daily and 10
10
handwritten
people,
notes.
10 people, and add 10 people to your database. That's the
Okay.
thing. So this is where a lot of us fall down. We do actually make those calls, but then we forget to put that information in our database. And hey, I just forgot to say it to you. You got to make notes in your database about the calls that you've made to the people that you've contacted. And if you've gotten 10 new people, which is supposed to add them to your database. It's great if they're on a little scrap of paper. That's great. Doesn't help you to remind you to call them again, to let you know and inform you what you last discussed with them. You have to actually work in your database. And then the last way to find a seller lead is referrals. So have any of you guys thought about other ways that we might be able to contact? That's course materials. I don't need that. Thank you. Any other ways that you have had success finding seller leads besides these 4, your database, open houses, your 10-4, and referrals?
Not yet.
Not yet?
I will.
Well, think about
Actually,
who you
I
want
was-
to add to your, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maureen.
I was going to say some stunts or the volunteer work that you do, or I had the food drive that I did. So I did a stunt where, you know, I put toilet paper at the beginning of COVID on everybody's front door with a note. And I got a call, and I've been working with this client to get her son a home. And she thought, you know, it was so clever and so nice of me to reach out with something. Obviously, it's a marketing stunt, but she
Right.
got it. So things like that.
Exactly. So your marketing tasks, and then who can you add to your database? What organizations are you in? What meetings are you attending? Have you put your neighbors in your database? Those are ways to kind of fill it that don't take too much extra effort, except by you. I mean, it's not going to cost you anything to ask your neighbor, you know, are you okay? I have this great newsletter that goes out every month, talks about what's going on in our neighborhood, including the sales. I'd love to put you in there. So if you have any real estate questions, you know who you can come to. So those are ways to kind of fill that database as well and find seller leads potentially. Somebody in your neighborhood may be willing to, may be ready to go and you didn't know because you didn't speak with them. One thing that a coach that Tracy and I had has always said, and you guys may have heard this before, don't be a secret agent. Everybody in your world that you talk to should know that this is what you do for a living. And hopefully they'll want to be supportive of that. If they're not ready to buy or sell, they may know someone who is. So that's kind of key. You just gotta put yourself out there. I'm not a name tag wearer. Don't do that. I don't do that. But you don't want to not let people know what you're doing. Okay, so qualifying and converting, Merlin. I'll take that slide next. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what comes after generating leads, which is connecting, pre-qualifying, and converting your seller leads into listing appointments, which is the goal. So there are wonderful connecting questions that you can use to qualify those leads. You want to make sure that these are people that actually have an interest in selling. And the first thing you have to do is kind of connect with them and then categorize them into whether or not you're pre-qualifying them, into whether or not they really are active potential sellers, or if this is someone kind of later on down the line that you want to keep in touch with. So connecting with them, which is an important part of prospecting, this is what these connecting questions are all about. People want to do business with people that they see as motivated, capable, and likable. So you want to focus on connecting with sellers that you can build a rapport with and find out how willing and ready that seller actually is. What are their little life events that are motivating them to think about selling? Have they added another person to the family, or potentially lost someone, or they're getting married, or they're getting divorced, or they need more space because they really want to work from home? Really understanding the seller's motivation and how strong that motivation is will help you to move toward your ultimate goal, which is a transaction, getting that appointment and then getting them into a transaction. So how do you, bless you, whoever that was.
Thank you.
Do you think these questions help you build rapport and trust with a potential lead? What do you guys think about these questions?
They're personal questions, you know, I mean, that's kind of linking you. You sound like you're interested in their, you know, their life and what's happening. It also informs them that you're thinking outside the box for them, you know.
Yeah, and it's also giving you information so you can figure out how you can help them, because you're supposed to be coming from a place of contribution.
Mhm.
So you want to actually, you know, yeah, I want to know about your family, but how does that lead to me to what kind of things you're looking for, where you want to live, how soon you want to move, all of those questions that get you into relationship with them generally, and into relationship with them as their potential real estate agent specifically. So do you guys have any comments about those questions? And do you have any suggestions as to, or questions that you like to ask that might elicit some of the information that you need? Anybody? Anybody? Well, when I ask somebody, you know, why they want to move to a particular area, I really want to get specifics, because sometimes that particular area doesn't work out. Inventory might be low. Prices might be higher than they expected. This is when you're taking a seller and trying to assist them to buy their next home. What is it that they love about it? So that if there is another neighborhood we need to be looking at, I have those aspects. And then questions when a seller is when somebody is interested in selling. One of the motivational questions that Tracy and I like to ask is, you know, put on them. What are you looking for in terms of terms and price for your buyers? If they're really somebody who's serious, who's an A seller, who's pretty much ready to roll. If they've got an expectation that, you know, from taking a look at comps for their property is outside of what they can expect, it's time to start managing those expectations at that point, rather than waiting until you're in a listing agreement with them and they've told you they want 1.7 and their house is worth 1.2. It's better to educate people early on and show them what's going on in their neighborhood and how the trajectory is in terms of appreciation in that neighborhood. So Those are questions that we kind of consider.
I
So you're
also
going to,
Um,
yes, I'm sorry, Patty.
Communication, how would you like to communicate? Would you
Yeah,
text
that's
you,
a good one, Maureen.
like an email? You want me to call you? And then I also ask at the end, what do you expect of me?
Very good question. And I do like to let them know how I like to be communicated with. If
Yeah.
it's text, for me, it needs to be something kind of an urgent nature. If you have just a random thought that you want me to get to in the morning, please don't text me at 11 p.m. that random thought. Please email me. Of course, I say it much more nicely, but that's important. How you want to communicate more, that's an excellent point. So now you've started to ask questions of these sellers so that you can categorize them. Is this an A seller? And I think it's the next slide, Merlin. Is this an A seller? Are they able, ready, and willing to do business in 14 days? Okay, well, if only we could do it that fast. You got to take pictures, you got to, but anyway, they're really ready to go. And so with those kind of potential sellers, you want to have daily follow-up to secure an appointment. I mean, that's someone who is actively looking to sell. You want to make sure somebody else doesn't jump in there before you. So you're gonna communicate with them in some fashion daily. If they're a B, which means they're able, ready, and willing to do business in 15 to 60 days, you want to put them in your database and you want to call every 2 or 3 days, or at least once a week. So that's someone too, they're pretty much ready to go. You don't want someone else to have had an opportunity to speak to them and them to have forgotten who you are. So you want to keep that follow-up going with them. Now, if they're a C seller, they're able, ready, and willing to do business in 2 months or more. Put them in your database and call them monthly. Call if possible. It's important to do that one-on-one directed communication. Don't just put them in there and they get your monthly newsletter. They're getting a lot of people's monthly newsletters. They're getting a lot of things dropped on their porch, but not a lot of people are taking the time to call them personally or write them a personal note. So those are important things to keep in mind. So in categorizing your leads, that'll help you to know how often to follow up with them and how close they're getting to the listing and when you need to ramp things up. When they are at that 15 days, if you've met somebody that's at 15 days from when they want to list, they should be getting a written listing packet from you. Another wonderful thing that's on command that you don't have to invent. Very few people are sending out listing packets before they've even had an appointment. But often that is what will get you an appointment. This person really, because in your listing package, you're talking about comparables in their neighborhood. You're talking about aspects of that neighborhood that people find attractive. You're giving them all this information that they probably know, but now they see you know it too. And very few people take the time and the postage to mail or drop off that listing packet either ahead of an appointment or in order to get an appointment. That's a rare thing and can really set you guys apart. So any questions you guys have right now about categorizing those leads and A, B, and C?
Just was going to ask you because I'm just trying to get a handle on command. How is it listed in command? Does it show, like, do you list them as A, B, and C, or is it?
No, yes. In the contact, Tracy and I have them listed with certain tabs that are specific to us. So those are how you want to, and so when you're able to search who needs to be contacted this week, you can either search by how you've kind of categorized them, or you've put a task in command to remind you of when you need to call these people, be it every day, weekly, monthly, what have you. Okay, so role play. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about qualifying our seller leads. So I guess we're going to have some practice now. Let's see. I don't know. Are there going to be questions coming up? Let's see. I guess we can just do that on our own. Let's practice and categorize each other. So Patty,
Mhm.
be the agent and ask me some questions and then decide if I'm an A, B, C. Don't make me a D girl, but maybe an A, B, or C. Let's go.
All right. Hey, Lorna, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? And who is this?
It's Patty Pelton. I'm calling you from Keller Williams in Larchmont. We spoke
Oh,
last.
hey, Patty. How's it going?
It's going well. How's
Good.
it going with you?
Things are going well. You know, we're trying to figure out what to do here. I have surprise pregnancy at 42, and we've been in this condo, my husband and I, for I don't know, 15 years, Patty. And I'm looking around, and there is no place for a child. I'm actually having a little bit of a freak out day.
Well, no need to worry. I'm here to help. What kind of a space are you looking for? You said you're looking for a condo?
Yeah, we're in a 1 bedroom. I don't know if I want a condo. I haven't talked to a lender about this or anything. I feel like we need some outdoor space. Either it's in a condo with some good common area, or wow, it might be time for us to do a single family, Patty. I'm not sure.
If you're looking for a condo and you're not sure, are you talking about an extra bedroom besides?
Yes, we need at least 2 bedrooms. I think we need 2 bedrooms now for sure. Yeah.
And as far as a house, it's a similar situation. You just want to know.
Yes, Patty. But we don't have a whole. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sweetie.
Do you need any additional bathrooms? Are you
I
thinking?
think we can do with 1 bathroom. 2 would be great, but one we'd survive.
And do you know what area you're thinking about looking in?
Yeah, I want to be right in mid-city. I want to be able to get everywhere quickly.
Can you be a little more specific when you say?
Yeah, I can. I kind of like the area like Wilshire, between say La Cienega and La Brea, and maybe go down as far as Pico and up to maybe Third, somewhere in that kind of triangle. I know prices vary around in there.
Yeah, they do. And would there be any other areas you'd consider as a second?
No.
Okay, you really want that area, and
Yes.
so you're going to be looking also for a school that you can get your child into.
Yeah, so that's why it's really important. I think would love for he or she to go to Third Street Elementary School, and
Okay.
what exactly the boundaries are of that. So maybe that's something I can research, Patty, because I know you shouldn't be doing that under your life.
No, I'm happy to help you out. Whatever can make it easier for you. I know you're busy.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you,
Also, do
Patty.
you know what price range that you're thinking?
I think we could do up to $1 million.
Okay.
So is that putting me in a condo, Patty, pretty much?
That puts you in a condo?
Yeah, I think we kind of pretty much know we may not be able to get a single family at that price.
Right. But you know, it'd be great. What we should do is really get you pre-qualified, and
You're right.
Look at some place, but get you pre-qualified and get you ready to go, so that when you're ready to pull the trigger on your place, we've got you all lined up with good people. You feel comfortable. You're ready to go.
Well, I've got according to my OB, I've got about 6 months, Patty.
Wow. So we need to move quick.
Yeah, and I don't have a lender I'm particularly in love with. You have any recommendations?
Great people at Keller Williams. Great experience. We've always had good outcomes with them, and I think you're going to love them. And
I'm excited.
It makes it easier for you, but I'm happy to help you try to find your new place.
I'm excited, Patty. So what's the next step?
Well, let's set up an appointment. Let's look at schedules and set up an appointment and do this as quickly as possible, because I know that you're really looking to move on this fast. So what's a good time for you this week?
Excellent. Tuesday, 6 o'clock.
Okay, let's do it. And I can come to you, whatever makes it easier. I know it's COVID, so we may have to.
We might need to Zoom it, especially, since I'm pregnant and everything. It's like a miracle. I don't have a uterus. I don't know how it happened. Okay, so Patty, that was great, because you got right. You really established some bonds with me. You got some timeline information on where I want to go, what I need, and you made sure to schedule that appointment. Key. Wonderful that we had a conversation. And if somebody's talking about they don't want to sell for, a year, crucial that you get the appointment right away, even though it's great if you can, just to further bond with them. But during COVID, it's not 2 years out, not essential. But if I'm talking about I'm pregnant and I need to figure out a place and I don't have a lender, we need to have an appointment.
Mhm.
That was great, Patty. That was really good. Anybody have any questions about that exercise or had any aha moments about that? Aha, Patty's an excellent actress. There we go. Okay. So what we want to do now is talk about converting those leads to contacts, to really be somebody who's in your database as a potential contract. So exactly what Patty did, you want to ask for that appointment, or if that person is not buying or selling at the moment, or you're speaking with a friend, you want to ask for a referral. Who do they know that might want to buy or sell? And you also want to ask for them to reciprocate any connection that you've made for them. So I would say in this particular portion, you want to really, that asking for an appointment is really moving them from kind of just a warm lead, moving them through the chain to actually be a contact with a closed contract. And turning that lead into a contact, someone that you actually have permission to follow up with, is important when you get those referrals. So you want to contact them, make sure that they are somebody who actually does want to buy or sell, as the person that you spoke with indicated, so that you can continue to call them about what might be useful to them. And they can be in your database as someone that you can actually call, not someone who's on your own do not call list. And then you want to, just ask them for the business. Once they know that who you are and you've established a relationship, you don't want to be afraid to go for that question, to ask them, are you looking to sell right now? Are you looking to buy right now? Because otherwise that relationship is just like another friendship. Yes, you do want to have positive relationships with the people in your database, but your database is really about business. So you want to not be afraid to get to the root of, why you're contacting them at some point. Doesn't have to be in that first call. If it's a referral, obviously it is in that first call because someone has referred you somebody who they think wants to buy or sell. But if it's someone that you have just established a lead with, someone you've connected with out in the outside world, that first conversation, yes, you want to let them know you're a realtor. It's easy to work that into every conversation in Los Angeles. People are talking about and thinking about real estate all the time. But you don't have to ask them for the business that first call. That is my opinion. Any questions about that, you guys? You guys are so quiet. Ask me anything. How about the time when Tracy and I went to Hancock Park and we were very new and we got 3 slam doors in our faces, one after the other. And so then we went out and had some pie and went right back to it. That's hard. When you're doing, we're not door knocking now, but that's really pretty much Tracy, our go-to back in the regular days was door knocking. And the first couple of times we got a door slammed. I mean, really, can you just be polite? You can say hi and no thank you. Got understood. You don't need to slam the door. The first few times we got the door slammed, our little feelings were really hurt. After the pie, and really a couple weeks later, the door slamming is just, hey, we made a contact. That person saw our faces, heard our names as briefly as it was, and we're continuing to move forward and do what we need to do. And it could be it was kind of funny. Like, oh, did you see the door? Do you think what was she saying? She slammed the door? You just got to keep moving forward. But that's some of our stories. You guys have a story you want to share about a good way to, make a contact? Yes, Clint.
Well, I do. I discovered by trial and error that for me, and this may take longer to get listings, it's to, do something for the community, the letters asking for closed donations, and I get their contact information. I put in in my database, and then I'm starting to call them. And if they tell me not to call them and they haven't yet, then because everybody that's in my database, I've met face to face. Maybe I'm not greatest at converting strangers, but just having people get to know me first. At least that's the way I'm approaching it. So whatever opinions you have, then I'm all ears.
I think that's awesome. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patty.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying.
No, you go right ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying something I've been thinking about. I mean, I just started doing this, so I'm starting to make my calls in my sphere and then add them to my the database, the command. But
Excellent.
I was talking to I do product placement, and I was talking to one of my clients the other day when I called them and said, can I put you in my database? And one of the gentlemen on one of the other calls, one of the realtors that was teaching the class, was talking about his newsletter. And he gave us some tips on, hey, I put little things down at the bottom of my newsletter about nutrition or recipes. And so I asked him, he works for Hint. And I said, hey, would you mind if I, at the bottom of my newsletter, maybe interviewed you a little bit about Hint water? And then I'm thinking maybe then I could have the newsletter sent to Hint, the people at Hint, to see that they're in my newsletter, getting some exposure. And then
that would be awesome.
I'm starting to think maybe with product placement, I can combine my clients with this newsletters. And
Patty, that is part of what makes you unique. That is important. Your background is part of why you're going to be successful and what you're going to do that's different than others. I mean, I know Maury does things that are in his wheelhouse, and Clint does things that are has passion for. And Lance, I don't know you, but hi, I'm sure Lance has all kind of things that make him unique. And that's important because we're not all going to connect with the same people. We have different attributes that are going to make us someone that different people are going to want to work with. And you guys, it's important. There's plenty of business in Los Angeles for all of us. And not all of us are going to be able to work with the same people. So it's important that you show what's unique about yourself and connect with people that are going to be a positive experience for you to work with. There is nothing more unpleasant than trying to force yourself to work with somebody that you know is not somebody that you click with. That kind of business will give you a nightmare. It doesn't matter. Tracy and I went through one that was $3.5 million. And every day I thought I was going to die, have a stroke and die, because someone who I thought I knew turned out to be an absolute nut. And because of the dollars that were, we just didn't let it go, and we should have let it go. It wasn't worth it at the end of the day. So it's important for you to know who you are and who you can best work with. I think that's key. And let Maury have that person. Yes, Maury. What were you gonna say, Doll?
Hey, Laura, talk a little bit about when you went door knocking. You're introducing yourself. Do you have something in mind, or have you had the experience of what people ask for? Are you handing something out and giving them a leave behind? Is there some part of the conversation? Do they usually ask, well, what's happening in our neighborhood?
That is exactly what we give them. We usually have, okay, first of all, you just don't want to be willy-nilly knocking on doors. We always had a list that we got from title of who lived in the house. We did it in our geographic farm so that we could, when they answered the door, we would greet them with their names. We knew, to the extent we could, a little bit about their house, and we were leaving them with something of value. So we usually had a newsletter that talked about maybe upcoming activities in the neighborhood. It could be an activity that we were doing, because Tracy and I used to do, before COVID, shred events after tax season in our geographic farms. So you could shred all your personal information securely. They stopped doing that because of COVID, and that may be coming back. But so it may be an announcement about the upcoming shred event. So we greet them with their name. We say something about the architectural style, because that's the passion Tracy and I have for these historic homes. The architectural style of their house. Maybe we already knew something about that neighbor because they were in the neighborhood and they always give the Halloween party or something, so we'd reference that. We might reference the neighbors on either side of them if we knew them. We would often be asked to come in and take a tour of their house, not because they wanted to sell, at that point. There was someone who toured us in her house every 3 or 4 months for 4 years. And when she finally did decide to sell, guess who she called? Us. It was 4 years. Yeah, so we want to know a little bit about their house, a little bit about, make sure you know their names, maybe know the neighbors, definitely know what's going on in the neighborhood if you're door knocking. That's not a phone call where this person could be anywhere in the city. That is, you're knocking in their neighborhood. So you got to know a little something. So, and then we would develop a relationship from the tour or the hello. If you live in that neighborhood or nearby, or you know something about that neighborhood, most likely you're going to get a positive response. There are some people that are just crotchety and evil and are going to slam the door. And if they're older, just make sure you had breakfast because you might be in there for a minute. But you really want to know a little something. So you don't want to just door knock blindly.
Tracy mentioned something about not coming from scarcity, because if you act like you're desperate, then it's easy for people to manipulate you. You know?
That's true. That's true. If you know what you're talking about,
Mhm.
you don't look like somebody that can be manipulated. If you knock on somebody's door and you're like, oh God, what address is, where am I?
Mhm.
Confident, you want to know what you're talking about. You just want to be prepared and fake it till you make it, but fake it. Don't look like you're stumbling all over the place. Did that answer that for you, Maury? Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that was great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we are now that we've covered kind of where we're going to, how we're going to find and convert our seller leads, let's talk a little bit more about how to pre-qualify them. So pre-qualifying them, we did a little bit. You want to understand the seller's motivation. We talked about this a little before. You want to position yourself as an expert. So again, we're talking about, you don't necessarily have to live in that neighborhood, but if you're going to meet with someone or you're going to call somebody about selling their home, you need to know what their neighborhood is about. You need to, even if you haven't seen the house yet, if you know that they've got a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, you need to talk about the desirability of that. So you need to position yourself as an expert. You want to win the listing, and there are many ways that you can do that. That's by showing how uniquely qualified you are to represent their house. That's by doing more than the typical agent does. So going back to delivering to them or mailing to them a listing packet prior to the appointment. That's huge. They'll have had an opportunity to look at it. And even if they haven't, there is, they can go over it with you while you're talking to them. On Zoom now, Tracy and I have had many listing presentations, as I'm sure you guys have. There is a way to upload your listing presentation into a website called Issuu, ISSUU, I think it is, .com. So that when you're on the Zoom with them, you can be showing them that document virtually with it flipping the pages for you as though you were there. It's fabulous. So you want to do more than just what's typical. You don't want to just go in, hey, I'm Jimmy, here's my card. Oh, here's some comps. Oh, let me see your house, blah, blah, blah. You want to do things ahead of time in advance. So when they do finally meet with you, they're already impressed. You've sold properties in that neighborhood or you've sold similar properties, let them know. Show them in your listing presentation. And again, Command is fantastic for this. Show them what about their neighborhood is special. What about their property is special? What buyers who are looking in that neighborhood want? What the comps are, how the price point has changed. All of that you can get out of Command and all the resources that it has in it. You want to talk to them about the price that the home should sell for with the most amount of money, but in the shortest time frame. So you want to start setting, give them an opportunity to tell you what they're looking for. And then, educate them as to how that may or may not be the place where you want to be. I know Pete does it in an interesting way, Pete Bonacore. He goes in, looks at the house and says, I'll get back to you with what I think the price is going to be. Hey, he's bold. He's Pete Bonacore. I don't always know that I'm going to get 2 bites at the apple. So I do want to have, already done, taken a look at what I think the property might be worth within a range, because I haven't been inside yet. Tracy and I always have a range. Okay, girl, when you go in there, if she's updated this, that, and this, and that, is this. If she hasn't, and that carpet's still down from the 70s, it's this. So we've already talked it through. You don't need a partner. You can do that with yourself. I talk to myself all the time. It's very scary. But you want to know what I think you want to know what price is appropriate, and it's going to get them the views they want so they can sell it in a short time frame. So if they've got a different price, you want to have the figures to be able to educate them. Now, people don't want to be over inundated with data, but you can have enough where the average person is going to feel like you did your research.
Lorna,
Yes, love.
if you get a seller and they say to you, I'm not going to, if somebody gives me 1.5 million for my house, then I'll sell. But
Mhm.
then it's not worth anywhere near that, then they say, well, that I won't sell. It just means that they're not motivated.
Well, we've done a couple of things. You can tell them, hey, here's what our research shows. Your house
Mhm.
1.3, you want 1.5. We will give you an opportunity. We can set this list price at 1.5. You're the seller, it's your house, for 2 weeks or 10 days.
Mhm.
If it doesn't sell at that price, then we're going to need to have a conversation about a price improvement. So you could do that. If the person you feel like they just need to see what the market really has to say, or
Mhm.
do a broker price opinion. You could have a little bit tricky, again, let's pretend COVID's not here, but you could have a bunch of brokers in who tell you
Mhm.
the price is worth and present that information to the seller. Hey, let me do a broker price opinion first. Let me have a broker's open and do this and come back to you with that information. And if they still are not comfortable, you could try that 2-week thing. If that person you feel that they are otherwise reasonable and just need to be educated about the market. Oh,
Mhm.
if that person is showing you that they're unreasonable in many respects, then you can do one of 2 things. Tell them, thank you very much. I wish you the absolute best of luck, and then give them to Patty. Or
Mhm.
you can tell them, oh, I lost my train of thought. I'll come back to that. Yes, best, or you can buy the listing. I'm sorry, what were we gonna say, Maureen?
You can tell them take a hike.
Take a hike,
About-
or you can move forward because there is some advantage to you. That's,
Mhm.
you often hear that called buying a listing, where you're just telling them, okay, I'll set it at whatever high price. If you are trying to sell in a complex where maybe you have another listing appointment and you want
Mhm.
to show that agent that you have experience in the building, it might be worth it to take that. But there's
Yeah.
a side to that too. If you're never able to sell that listing, then you look like the agent who couldn't sell the listing in the building.
Yeah.
You got
I
to
mean-
see if it's an advantage to you or not,
Mhm.
take an overpriced listing.
I mean, I had one seller I
Yeah.
talked to some months ago, and I told him what, the comparable homes were selling for in his neighborhood. And he said, well, I spent over 200,000 to improve my house and do this and do that X number of years ago.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares what you
Mhm.
put into your property. And often the people are like, I put $200,000. They're very owner specific changes. So
Mhm.
you put that black Carrera marble all over the kitchen, you love it. Nobody else does.
Yeah.
So nobody cares what you put into your house. They really don't. You might get a little bump. You might get a little more attention if it's changes that the majority of people like, but they're not going to give you $200,000 extra because you chose to spend that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So that's what I would tell them, that,
yeah,
well, I
yeah.
understand you put the effort into it and the improvements, but it's not going to seem like $200,000 to everybody just
No.
because you chose to spend that.
Yeah, I mean, there are
Way to put
limited
it.
exceptions. Like if you're in a neighborhood where
Mhm.
nobody has really done any upgrades to the property, and this person has put in all new copper plumbing, everything's rewired and electrical, it's a new green roof and with tankless and da 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 da. Okay, maybe it's worth a little something. But then maybe also it may not appraise because of the rest of the neighborhood looks like hell. So you
Yeah,
gotta kind of weigh those things. And that's part of really managing their expectations,
mhm,
knowing what you can do and your thought process and how you're going to be honest with them, give them pertinent information, and really provide a great customer experience for them.
thank you.
You are welcome, my love.
Lorna, where do I find the listing packet that you were talking about?
So in Command, you want to go to designs. So, okay, you know, there are the applets on the left side, there's designs, there's contacts, there's notes, all of that stuff. So you want to go into designs. Then on the right side, there's a little plus button. First, you want to click, I think you have to first click that you want it to be a printed material in designs, because there's email designs, there's all kinds of different designs. There's some of the stuff that's for your website. So you want to click that you want it to be a printed design. Then there's a little plus symbol in the bottom. Click the plus. It'll ask you what you want. And you'll say, okay, seller presentation. You click that. Then it'll bring up all these templates. So you can choose a template, one that looks very modern, maybe one that is a little more historic, or one that's a little more funky. And then you modify that to whatever your needs are. And
Thank
when
you.
love it, it's going to ask you to, it's going to give you pages that you'll modify. You'll move along the pages. And once you love it, you'll tell it to download it as a PDF. You'll put in the seller's name, all their specific information. You'll grab some data about the neighborhood. All of that'll go in there, and then you'll click PDF.
I also have a question, Lorna.
Sure.
If you hear anything, I have a brand new puppy and rolling around.
Oh,
So I'm
that's
trying
sweet.
to a couple. If I, sorry, hold on one second.
Hold him up.
Hey, I've got two of them here. You wanna come here, hold on. Come here.
Hi, sweet cakes. So you had a question, Pat?
I had a question about the, if I want to do, I want to do something on social media, just announce it. Is there a background that I can choose, or is there a design in there I can choose just to
You
announce?
want to do a landing page.
Landing page, okay.
Landing page. And I am not so tech savvy that I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that, except I'm going to tell you to call Scott Leroy.
Oh, Scott, okay.
Scott Leroy. We have a relationship with them in our office, and they can definitely help you make a landing page.
Can you
Okay.
call Scott Leroy, or is it only email?
I have called him. His phone number is on there somewhere.
Okay,
I think you get the quickest response when you email him, but he will call you.
well, that's great.
You know, so I would
Okay.
email, but yeah. All right, guys. So in a moment, we're going to start talking about a pre-listing questionnaire. And I think there is a slide for that, Merlin. Yes. So you guys, this is in your toolkit, and you can download this. And we only have about 15 minutes, so we're not going to try to fill this out now. But what the pre-listing questionnaire does is help you to determine how quickly you may be able to get into business with a lead. You'll notice when you download it that the questionnaire uses many who, what, where, why questions to help you facilitate the process. So in your toolkit, and you guys know where that is? Have you guys seen the toolkit? It's in the same downloads with your participant package. You guys don't know where that is?
It is in the, you said. it's in
Yeah, in the, I think it's the Office Google Drive. Is that where it is, Merlin? If not, we'll find out. That's where your participant package was for Ignite. That's where,
Sure, sure.
so in there is the pre-listing questionnaire in the toolkit. So there's a toolkit, and download this, and it'll help you to ask the pertinent questions of the sellers when you meet with them, and figure out, you know, how you're going to help move them to listing. So I think so you guys download that when you have an opportunity, and that's something where you can role play with a partner too, kind of asking those questions, seeing what the responses might be. Okay, I don't think we're going to role play, right? Because we don't have time, but that is something I would recommend that you do. So talking about the actual listing presentation, we can, there's one there, great. We're going to look at it and see how we can use it to construct a pre-listing package that you can send to potential sellers. And like I said, I would really, really recommend that you send this in advance of an appointment or after you've made contact with someone and you want to discuss listing their place, even if you don't yet have the appointment set. So you will see, this is, I think this is, I don't know if we're actually in command or not. But this is, if maybe this is a screenshot, but then I don't recognize these things to the left. But once you get into command, you'll see these different types of listing presentations. So this one to the right is one I like. I don't know what this one to the left looks like, but the one to the right, I'll tell you why I'm so impressed with it. There's so many places where you can personalize it, not only for the sellers, but for yourselves, where you can talk about what your experience has been, awards you've won. I love it because it's got all kinds of people in there. I was so impressed at the diversity of the people in that listing presentation. So Tracy and I tend to customize the one to the right. Now, I'll tell you honestly, MLMS, if you're in a rush, they have some free listing and buyer presentation packages, because this listing presentation takes a minute to modify. So if you're in a rush, like someone says, yes, I really want to meet with you this afternoon, and you've got a million things going on, you only have about 10 minutes to just get the one from MLMS and try to maybe email it to them if you can in advance, issue it, that website I told you about, over to them in advance, drop it off if it's on your way and you can print it quickly. But unless you've already modified the listing presentation in command in every way except with specificity to who that seller is and where they live, and even that's going to take some time, you need a minute on this one. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What's the next slide, Merlin? So I told you guys, thank you, love. I told you guys where it is in command. I think we could forward one more time. That's something you want to do on your own. It's going to take a little bit of time. If you have questions, you can certainly reach out to me. And you guys, I didn't give you my contact information. So I'm Lorna Hennington. You can contact me at Lorna, Lorna, at Bates, Bates, Hennington, HENNINGTON.com. And my phone number is 323-356-3675. And Lance is sending me messages. Hey, Lance, that's me. So you can call me. I am not the queen of command, but I can get you going on a listing presentation. Lance, did you have a question? No?
Yeah, actually, can you repeat that one more time, the phone number?
Sure. Lorna, Lorna, Bates, Bates, Hennington, HENNINGTON.com, or 323-356-3675.
What was the first three? I mean, the second three?
323-356-3675. And if you guys haven't been in command and tried to create a listing presentation, I really recommend that you put that on your, I think there's a list of activities, your success list at the back of your package of things you want to do, and really get in there. Am I cutting out a bit? Okay.
Yeah. You were cutting out too in the last 4 digits of the phone number.
Okay. Eric's on there. Hey, 323-356-3675. Everybody good? Okay. Put that on your to-do list and get in that presentation, pick the one you like and start to modify it. put in all your information. So at least that's in there when you need to create one for a seller, and get familiar with it and how you can make the changes, because some of it's intuitive and some of it's not. I'm just not a techie person, so it takes me some extra time. So I would say get in there and play around with it.
And there are videos in Command on how to do it, if you play
Pardon?
around. There are also some videos, I believe.
Yes, YouTube is your friend. There are lots of good videos, but don't wait till the last minute when you actually need one of these to get familiar with it. Do it now. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions or ahas about the preliminary qualification or the pre-listing presentation package, or anything you want to ask me on that? No, you guys are groovy? Okay.
That's the first time that I heard a pre-listing packet. I think that
Yeah.
that was just supposed to, when you meet with them or.
I
that-
would
that makes
never
sense.
wait until then. I really wouldn't, because you want to distinguish yourself from other agents, and you want to show them what your value is and how much you know about the property. Yes.
Starts to form an emotional connection. I did that with someone and they said, oh my God, it was like you did work for us before we even said we're working with you.
Exactly.
Gave us. So I think I did that so that they would feel that way. There will be a little bit of guilt involved.
Look, I printed this up for you and I bound it and everything. What's wrong with you? You need.
Exactly.
Of reciprocation.
Yeah, and especially now, you got to really, I'm forcing myself to use a little bit more technology than I used to before. It used to be very much face to face and talking to people, and with COVID, you just can't do that. So you've got to find ways to be innovative, to get them the material, to impress them about you. And if you, as Maury said, if you can do it before you've even met with them, it really shows what you have to offer. So let's just say, okay. So recapping, you guys, if you have any questions about pre-qualifying or qualifying your sellers, about how you might get a seller, let me know. And remember, as you move forward, you want to continue with these daily habits that are going to lead you to success. You want to keep building that database. You want to practice these scripts, how you're going to qualify sellers, what you're going to say at the listing presentation. And you want to keep lead generating, whether it's what Maury is doing with some very innovative marketing, or what Clint's doing with gathering donations. You want to continue to be out there and be present, and to be doing things consistently. A, because it shows you're reliable. I mean, that's key. And B, because it keeps exposing you to new people, because the number one thing you have to do is to keep adding to that database. Number two is to keep contacting that database. Number three is to get those appointments. And number four is to get into an agreement with these people so you can move that contract forward, get to a closing, and get paid. We all enjoy real estate. We enjoy interacting with people, at least most of us do, but we are not here as a hobby. This is our career. This is how we make our money. This is how we feed our families. So these things are important. Now, what question? You guys are going to have to ask me some more questions. I'm right here. I want to answer. What have you got? Nothing? Lance? Patty?
I'll ask you in an email.
Okay, I'll respond in an email.
Oh, I have a question. It's not
Of
really
course.
about this Ignite class, but where would I find the logo for Keller Williams Larchmont that I can use on the website?
Oh, there are a couple of places. You can actually find it in images in Google. Which
I
is
tried
one place.
downloading a couple and then posting them, but they just, I don't know, they weren't.
I think I would ask maybe John at the front desk, or Merlin, do you think it would be okay for them to ask? Brian?
Maryland has it. There's someplace online that we have it.
Yeah,
KW Large.
let me here. I can, maybe like 2 minutes. I think I can get there in about a minute or so. Give me one
Okay,
second.
groovy.
Thank you very much.
Let's see here.
I think I found mine in command. It said KW when I was trying to put together my Facebook business page. I found it in
Mhm.
command.
All right, so I put it up here on the screen, if you could all see that. Yeah, so if you just pop in your MyKW here and you jump right under marketing. And, you know, if you've never seen MyKW before, mykw.kw.com, and it's the same login as your command. And from here, you'll be able to see logos and branding.
Fabulous.
And then from there, you know, so this is all like, you know, rules, regulations for the KW logo itself. But to get ours, all you do, scroll down a little bit. Market Center number is 558. And you have a couple here. Most people just use this standard large font.
Do we still have a Miracle Mile office? Is that still operating?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
isn't that where the red
Yep,
is?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Across from the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf on Wilshire near La Brea.
Yep.
We can go into the office?
Not really. I mean, there are just a few offices. They have a very small lobby. There's nowhere for you to work, I don't think. Is there, Merlin?
No, not really. I mean, they have like a conference room there and, you know, little wood table in the back, but, you know, not
Not
much.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live across the street from them, so.
Oh, shoot. That would be, Tracy and I were there for a hot minute, but the walls in the offices are only halfway up and we're both really loud. So that didn't work. So you guys, anything on any ways that your thoughts about sellers and how to get leads with sellers has changed, or any different feelings you have about it you want to express, or anything you want to share about tools that you use that could be beneficial to the rest of the group? Anything there?
I'll have to focus on marketing postcards, which is what they talk about in coaching.
Yeah. You can have them printed, Clint. I know we talked about the expense of that, and then maybe have somebody deliver those. Or
Okay.
them yourself if it's in a geographic area that's not, you know, too taxing.
Mhm.
That will cost a lot.
I thought the shred event sounded interesting. You know,
It's
the-
a great event. I mean, I feel awful because that's something Tracy and I were really known for in our geographic farms, and it's just so useful to the people who live there. And it's not that expensive, an event.
Do you have drinks and others like?
Yeah, we usually have some refreshments. We have some, you know, branded giveaways, and then the shred. It while we're out there, we interact with everybody. It's cool. So if we have no other questions, you guys, I really want to thank you for the time that you spent here. I hope you got something out of this class. I hope you get 1 million sellers. Just show to them how wonderful you are, because I think you are. And go get them, Tigers.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful,
You're
Lorna.
welcome.
Really helpful. Thanks, Lorna.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful Monday.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Merlin.